And perhaps one of the craziest turn of events that we've seen in the last 24 hours, the Denver Nuggets have made significant improvements to their roster. After trading Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson and the 2032 unprotected first round pick, they then acquire Bruce Brown in free agency on a veteran's minimum. And then today, they get Jonas Valanciunas from the Sacramento Kings for Dario Saric in order to get cap relief for the Sacramento Kings and get a player that is going to get real rotation minutes for the Denver Nuggets. And then lastly, as of the last 2 hours ago, the Denver Nuggets get Tim Hardaway Jr. on a vet min. Y'all, we have to have a conversation about what this means for the Nuggets going forward, how they're going to revamp this team and the rotation, and is this the team to carry them to title number 2? Y'all know what time it is. This is Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Locked On Nuggets. I sincerely apologize for the background noise. There is no business center in this entire hotel, so I'm literally doing the absolute best that I can here. I hope you're having a fabulous day. There's going to be hundreds of people in here. I want to make sure that I give you the most up-to-date Denver Nuggets content that you can get. But y'all, this has been a spectacular last 24 hours for the Denver Nuggets team. Considering all of the things that they've gone through leading up to this point, you look at the last 2 years, lacking rotation players, lacking players that can continue to add to what the starters are doing. When the starters go out, we saw last playoff, they didn't have consistent players they could go to. They had too many young players, too many rookie contracts. We've talked about this up here multiple times, especially Ryan Blackburn and I. When you have 5 to 6 rookie contracts on the roster and none of them are lottery picks, you're setting yourself up to have to rely on extremely young, unproven players to do the job that is meant for veterans in the NBA. And so here come the Denver Nuggets. As of yesterday, getting Cam Johnson, they get cap relief, $17 million underneath the budget line that they were at previously, getting underneath the first apron. And then with that, they're able to get a player in-house like Bruce Brown. And then today, they get Jonas Valanciunas, who I haven't shared my thoughts on. Jonas is a great backup center. Jonas Valanciunas is definitively one of the very best backups in the league, because you're not going to find a lot of players that have the ability to rebound, score, pass the way that he does. And on top of this, there are probably a few of you up here who have even heard me talk about this. Jonas Valanciunas with Jackson Hayes, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, and CJ McCollum. At one point in time with Coach Willie Green 2 years ago, they had the number 1 defense in the NBA for a stretch. Now, a lot of that was because of Herb. A lot of that was because of Trey Murphy. A lot of that was because they had dedicated their team to a very specific scheme. But I talk about this a lot because the idea is that you can buy into what your team is doing from a schematic standpoint, and then from there, you're able to do the job that you need to do. And I think Jonas, he's not going to be an individually good defender. But what he can do, he can be a big enough deterrent within the scheme to make it passable. And on top of that, we're going to talk about a lot of this, because if you look at the Denver Nuggets roster, here is my projected rotation as of right now. Jamal Murray, starting point guard, obviously, Christian Brown, and then you're going to get Cam Johnson in there. And then now you have Aaron Gordon, you get Nikola Jokic. Now you have the backup rotation as of right now is Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., Peyton Watson / Julian Strawther, Deron Holmes III, and Jonas Valanciunas. And just on the outside, Jalen Pickett, Zeke Naji, and Hunter Tyson. All 3 of them were getting some kind of real minutes last year for the Nuggets, given how many constraints they had on the roster. So I want y'all to imagine this. the reason why I love Jonas Valanciunas on this roster so much, and if you look at his season last year, especially for the Sacramento Kings, not a crazy season, not crazy numbers at all. But again, like this is somebody that was asked to do a job and he did it. Last year, averaged 10 points a game, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 88% from the free throw line and 55% from the field. I can get with that. Like that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly reasonable. And now that's your backup big. You have a competent big that can screen, that can pop, that can roll, and that can post when Jokic isn't in the game. And you tell me the last time that you had a big in Denver that could do all of that. I would say for a stretch, DeMarcus Cousins could do it. But really outside of that, the Nuggets haven't had a player able to fill a role like that. So you get someone in-house who I think brings a lot to the table to truly help this team continue to get to the next level. I'm very excited to see how he's utilized. But then to not lose momentum at all. The Nuggets wait a couple of hours and they end up getting Tim Hardaway Jr. And I think, given that this is going to be one of their true rotation players, right now, Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, Cam Johnson, Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, and then you get Bruce Brown, Jonas Valanciunas. And then if you told me that Tim Hardaway Jr. going in the next year, no development from Deron, no development from Peyton Watson, if you told me that that was their top 8, that top 8 is much, much better than what it was last season. And that's a playoff rotation. So imagine you're throwing in Tim Hardaway Jr., who has a lot of different skill sets himself, has played a lot of really high-level basketball over the course of his career. And even this last year with the Detroit Pistons, I thought he had a really good season, 11 points per game, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 41% from the field, but he shot 36.8% from 3 and 85.5% from the free throw line. Another thing I love about what Tim Hardaway does is the movement shooting. I want y'all to also hear this. So this is Tim Hardaway since the 2017-18 season. Since the 2017-18 season, he shot 7 threes a game, 7.3 a game, 7.3 threes, 7.4 threes, 7.2, 7.6, 7.2, 7.7, and 7.6 and 5.9 last year. And a lot of that had to do with the minutes and the scheme that he was playing in. So what you're telling me is you're adding another truly good shooter who has a reputation as a shooter, which I'm going to talk about in the second segment in particular, because what the Nuggets don't have, even if you have people that on the numbers, Christian Brown, for instance, had good numbers as three-point shooters, they're not guarded or relegated around the league as three-point shooters. And when you have shooters at that high of a level on the roster, it truly allows for you to have different things that you can do on in multiple schemes, multiple fits, multiple lineups. The versatility is going to be incredible. So what I love, y'all, is that in a matter of 24 hours, the Nuggets have, one, traded, I think, their most bloated contract relative to performance in Michael Porter Jr. They then get Cam Johnson, who I think is on the same tier as Michael Porter as a player, but he brings different things to the table that will make him, I think, a better fit at times, even though he won't be as good of a rebounder. And I think some of those really, really, truly magnanimous three-point shooting out of things that we saw from Porter, you might not get that kind of performance, maybe, but he's still a very, very good shooter, plus defender, and I think a guy that's very capable within any scheme. And so then you add him to the starting lineup at 6'8". You get Bruce Brown, a 6'4" true athlete at that backup point guard position that they got in 2022-23 that they're re-bringing onto the roster now. He's 2 years older, even more seasoned. I think we'll know even better what he's supposed to do with this team early from the get-go. And then now you add Jonas Valanciunas and you add Tim Hardaway Jr. One of the things that makes this so unique is that when you have this many NBA players, it gives you multiple options of how you want to attack and how you want to play defense and the things you'll be able to do with the player that we haven't talked anything about so far, with Nikola Jokic. You just imagine the season that he had previously, and you're adding all these players to what Jokic is doing. I truly think that this team is headed in a special, special direction. And I'm telling y'all, get ready. Because in segment 2, we're going to talk about a lot of what's going to make this team so unique and so special, y'all. And I can't wait to get to it. We'll be back for segment 2 here at Locked On Nuggets. Y'all, this is one of the best parts of the year. There's so many great things happening around the world in sports in the summer. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. Now, you're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. But y'all, I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions. And fun ways to bet. And this is what I want to do, y'all. I actually want to look this up for you because I looked this up a little bit earlier. So if you go to the NBA right now on FanDuel and you look at NBA futures and you see where the Nuggets are headed, Nikola Jokic is currently the betting favorite at plus 200 to win MVP next year. Okay? Plus 200 to win MVP. The Denver Nuggets are currently plus 800 to win the NBA title, and that's the second best odds behind the OKC Thunder at a plus 250. And y'all, there's still more to come. So I'm telling you, FanDuel is the place to be. So if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Y'all, I can't wait. This is a great time to be a Denver Nuggets fan. We'll be back for more here on Locked On Nuggets. Y'all, we are back here for segment 2 of Locked On Nuggets. And y'all, make sure, if you're listening to this on Apple iTunes or Spotify, give us a 5-star review. That way more and more people can listen to the great content being made here at Locked On Nuggets. Matt and Ryan and myself going hard every single day to give you the very best possible. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, give us a 5-star review, give us a like, share, and subscribe. Yo, we're on the way to 15,000 subscribers, I believe, by the end of this year. I think we may get the best Denver Nuggets season we've had since 2023. And this includes a season they won 57 games in 50 games, and they had a Game 7 with a chance this season. There's a special opportunity for it, and we're going to cover that every single day here at Locked On Nuggets, y'all. But y'all, this is what makes me so excited. The Nuggets are in a place where they're going to have true versatility. And one of the best things about versatility in the league today is that when you have players that can do multiple things all at once or can fit multiple schemes all at once, it makes you that much more difficult to guard and even better defensively. What I love about these additions is that, and again, I don't know who exactly it is. I don't know where. I don't want to credit just one person with who did what. But I'll say that John Wallace and Ben Tenzer, I think John Wallace's outside odds and Ben Tenzer's mind for the CBA. Because they're two of their, apparently they're really good friends as well. They were able to combine a singular vision that knew that what they had on the roster and the players they were relying on were not enough in 2025 to win a title and to consistently put pressure on the other team. They then said, let's get players that with our best players on the floor, we're playing even better than ever. And then when we don't have our best player on the floor, we're giving you multiple looks that makes it difficult to slow or stalemate. And I think this is honestly such a brilliant strategy by this Denver Nuggets team. And I love let me just tell you this. So if you look at the roster and you look at the unit, so one of the things that I love most about where they're headed right now with their lineups. So you got your starting lineup with Jamal, with Christian, with Cam, Aaron, and Jokic. Y'all, Bruce Brown comes in. Now you're playing Jamal Murray. You're playing Christian Brown, Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic. So you're back. You're back to 2023, right? So you put another defender, another athlete on the floor with Jokic, with Brown, and with Aaron Gordon, and with Jamal Murray. Now your defense doesn't take a step back, may even get better versus certain teams, and now you got a lot of ball pressure and a lot of people that can put a lot of pressure on the defense in different ways. Okay, but then let's say you want to change it up even more. So Deron Holmes, he'll be back next year, 6'9", 6'10", very good athlete, shooter, post scorer. Again, that's who he was out of college. You have to obviously figure it out as you go. Put Deron Holmes in for Aaron Gordon. So then now you want to continue to change it up even more. Tim Hardaway Jr., you're coming in for Christian Brown, or you're coming in for Jamal, and you're going with a bunch of wings on the floor. So now you got Tim Hardaway Jr., then you're going to have Bruce Brown, you're going to have Christian Brown or whoever's on the floor with them, and then you have Deron Holmes, and you got a bunch of rangy, long athletes. Or you can scrap that kind of vision, and then what you can do now is you want to say, Jokic, we're going to give you a different kind of a look when it comes to your rotation. Take Jokic out. Okay, but Jamal Murray, who do you rely on in these moments? Okay, Jamal Murray, now put Tim Hardaway Jr. in. For Aaron Gordon, put Deron Holmes in. Now put Jonas Valanciunas in. So now you're running Jamal Murray, Tim Hardaway Jr., Cam Johnson, Deron Holmes, and Jonas Valanciunas. Y'all, that is still an NBA rotation. Like, that is still an NBA team. Like, this is what makes this so great, is that we're literally in a situation now where the non-Jokic minutes are going to be a real unit with an actual identity, with the veterans on the floor who know what they're doing. Having Jonas, Cam Johnson, Tim Hardaway Jr., having players like Bruce Brown on the roster, and then now coupling that with Jamal Murray, with Aaron Gordon, and with Christian Brown, that changes the game. That changes the way the Denver Nuggets can think about how they're utilizing their roster. And again, this isn't to just go ahead and throw away Jalen Pickett. Jalen Pickett is going to have work next year. It depends. They still have access, by the way. They have triggered the first apron, but they still have access to the taxpayer MLE, which is about $5.7 million, and they have 2 roster spots left, I believe. They can still add like another legitimate rotation player to this roster for good money, like a 2-year, $5.7 million a year deal that gives you about 11.4 over a 2-year span for one player. That could be a Chris Paul. That could be a Russell Westbrook again. We have no idea. And again, sounds crazy. That could even still be like an Al Horford type of player. I don't know. But I'm saying you still have option on what exactly it is that you want to do. So what I want to do here is say is that one of the best things about where they're headed is that they have options with the non-Jokic minutes. But even now, one of the other lineups that I really think would be interesting to build out is that now, if you keep Jokic in the game, you can put Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway, and Deron Holmes, and you can add one of Peyton Watson. But now that makes Peyton Watson's utility even better for the team because you're surrounding him with other athletes to accentuate what he does as a rim protector, or you can put a bunch of shooters around him. But one of the other things, too, is that I think it's going to be a really big deal for this team is the fact that Cam Johnson, with the Nets for the last couple of years, he's been playing with a bunch of players that are either extremely young, not very good, or trying to find themselves as NBA players in a new place. And the great thing about Cam already knows what it means to be a number 1 or be a number 2, to have to demand the attention of the defense and to have to do so without having a great player on the roster with you. And so you just think about Cam Johnson now. So when you do go to the Jamal Murray, to the Peyton Watson, Cam Johnson, Deron Holmes minutes, and then you put whoever you want to put next to Jamal in that lineup, whether it's Bruce Brown. So Jamal Murray, Bruce Brown, Cam Johnson, Jonas Valanciunas, and Deron Holmes. Let's say that's the lineup. Like, are you kidding me? There's so much scoring. There's so much scoring. Jamal Murray, Cam Johnson, and then again, you get a screen setter with Jonas Valanciunas with Cam coming off a down screen from Jonas, or Cam coming off a DHO with Jonas, or then you get on the other side of this, and then you want to say, hey, Deron Holmes running a pick and dive with Deron, with rim running on top of that. I mean, there's so many things. So that's what the great part is about what they've done with the roster so far. But on the other side, y'all, we're going to talk about what this means and also why the versatility, I think, is going to be the story of the NBA season. And then we're also going to talk about, are there some additional players the Nuggets could be targeting that would make this offseason even better? We'll talk about all that and more here. Locked On Nuggets. We're back here for the final segment of Locked On Nuggets. Thank y'all so much for being here with me today, y'all. I am sorry for all the background noise. Like I said, I'm literally in Chicago. This place does not have a business center. It's a wonderful hotel. It doesn't have a business center, though, so there's no place to get like any privacy. So I'm currently trying to make do with the best that we have available to us. But y'all, we're talking about all of the additions that the Denver Nuggets have made. Again, as of today, July 1st, the Denver Nuggets, they've added Jonas Valanciunas via trade, trading Dario Saric. And again, y'all heard me. I'm not going to rag on it. Dario was probably the worst signing, given the fact that he only played 15 games for this team, had no versatility whatsoever when it comes to this team and the roster, and then especially come playoff time. So there was just not a lot that he brought. And so to be able to trade that contract and the player option he opted into for Jonas Valanciunas, and Matt Moore talked about this, and I thought this was such a salient point. He said one of the greatest things about this trade with Jonas and Sarge is that, one, you're able to get off a player that you can't utilize. But then, two, you make a deal with the Sacramento Kings, who were looking to have flat cap flexibility because they were almost having to trade Malik Monk to make addition to the roster to get Dennis Schroeder onto the team, which they gave him $15 million a year. And in order to get where they needed to get to sign Dennis Schroeder in free agency, they were almost having to offload Malik for it seemed to be very minimal. And so instead of doing that, they said, hey, we'll take your very bad player for our okay player, and it's a cheaper player, cheaper contract, and we'll give you a better player who we traded 2 second-round picks to get because we just need to get the room cleared. That way we can do what we need to do. So they, again, were playing chess. And I think going into those rooms and having these conversations with Tim Hardaway Jr. and convincing Tim Hardaway that this is the place to be, not just to re-up your value in your career, but also to have maybe one of your best seasons you've ever had, and to be able to do it in a way that you're getting high-level starter minutes at some time. Say he can replace Cam Johnson or he can replace Christian Brown if need be, but then also, too, with the bench, having the opportunity to come off the bench in a situation like this, I think it means a lot, and it's also going to change the situation and the fortunes for him. So that's a great get and a great act. And I think for Jonas, you're obviously been one of the best rotational bigs in the league for some time now. You come into Denver, there's no pressure for you to have to put up crazy numbers or to be some kind of really good elite player. But all you have to do is to come in the game 12, 18 minutes and then figure it out. How do you get into the game, get the rebounds, hit good shots, play defense, and you invest in the scheme? Now, I'll also say, by the way, there's 626 people in here. Make sure that you subscribe if you're watching this right now, because the content we're about to be rolling out is going to be special. I want to say this too. Somebody asked me, can Jonas Valanciunas and Jokic, can they play together? Well, not necessarily, but I think the Houston Rockets are a great example of this. The Houston Rockets found a way, largely through playing zone, to have Alperen Şengün and Steven Adams playing on the floor together. I would not be surprised at all if David Adelman is watching the Houston Rockets last year and now this year with Alperen Şengün, with Clint Capella, and Steven Adams, and watching them all play big and saying, look, we can play enough zone. We proved that in the playoff to be able to stymie you at the top of the key and to keep you from getting penetration. But on the other end, we'll be able to get every rebound imaginable. But then on the offensive glass, if Jokic is operating in the high post, Jonas has a mismatch down low. Dump it into Jonas. Or Jonas, if you're operating up high and then Jokic is down low, now you got two extremely huge human beings that are just hanging out inside the paint, getting offensive rebound. So what I'm saying is there's an opportunity for them to do it. And so we'll find out. And I think that the great thing about where the league is utilizing more zone than it ever has. Well, not ever has in recent years. The league is utilizing size more than it has in recent years. So Jonas, look again, y'all. It sounds crazy now, but when you just watch it happen and see it happen in person, I do think it's going to change some of the perspective for what exactly the team could be this next year. Again, y'all, Jonas is 6'11", and he's about 270, dude. Like, that's a big, big man. So I'm actually really curious to see how they're going to work together. But on the other side of this as well, y'all, the reason why I think that the OKC Thunder are as good as they are, now they have Shea. I think Shea's one of the 3 or 4 best players in the world. I think he had a good playoff run. I think he had a good NBA Finals. But Shea also, I think, he's a very elite player. But what made and this is for the Nuggets, what made the Nuggets vulnerable to them is the fact that they could throw off the bench Cason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, Alex Caruso, AJ Mitchell, Kendrick Williams at the Nuggets. And then they were just basically saying, hey, Russell Westbrook, hey, Julian Strawther, please have a game today. Or Peyton Watson, please continue to develop, have a game today. So you add all that stuff together, they were just throwing things, not against the wall, but they were having to try things that I think just weren't comparable. But now it's like, hey, we have Cam Johnson with the starters, Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., Jonas Valanciunas, Julian Strawther, Peyton Watson, Deron Holmes. Y'all, that's 11. That's 11 opportunities to try to find a mismatch on any given night. You tell me when the last time the Denver Nuggets found something like that. That's just not been the story for them. And what I also love about this is, too, Jokic was playing at one point damn near 40 minutes a game, 38 minutes a game. I mean, Jokic was having to carry like an insane load because you just saw really going in. And I know y'all remember this, y'all. By the time we got into December, I mean, Jokic was, again, he was clearing 40 minutes a game. Last year, he was at 36.7. One of the things that I love about adding Jonas Valanciunas is Jonas is good enough to where, hey, Jokic, like, we can keep your number, hopefully, because in 2022-23, in the regular season, Jokic played 33.7 minutes per game. And then in the NBA playoff that year, he played 39.5. So in the last 3 years, y'all, Jokic has played 39.5 in the playoff, 40.2 in the playoff, and 40.2 in the playoff. So when it comes playoff time, you can put him out there for 40-plus minutes a game and be okay. But I do think if they can try to find a way to get his numbers down to being around 33, 34 minutes a game, somewhere in there, I think that is going to help them in a big, big way in the long term. So some of this is as simple as they just have to find ways with this unit to manufacture I think the lineups that are necessary to help this team do what they need to do. So I'm really excited to see how they use that. Really excited to see how they kind of optimize all the players that are on the roster. But I think, again, the versatility thing, that's the story. Because, again, outside the starters in previous iterations of this team, they just didn't have it. There weren't the players to be able to trust consistently to do the things you need to do. But now, with Tim Hardaway Jr., with Bruce Brown, with Jonas Valanciunas, Deron Holmes playing NBA basketball this year, Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther, Jalen Pickett. Well, now you're like, it's like, okay, well, like, you can try new things. It's a totally different thing. And then somebody even said, right here, Noah, I mean, I haven't even talked about Jaded Links, Zeke Naji. Like, this is saying, so Noah, you're right. I think the versatility of the lineup of Al Jokic be more creative, 100%. But this guy right here, he has a chance to prove. I think Zeke Naji has a chance to prove that he can take a step. And if he has competent players around him, I want y'all to also understand this. Zeke Naji's like, ideally is a great 4 in the league. Defensively, remember y'all, the Detroit game he played last year, we had 3 blocks in the first quarter. Zeke had a stretch where he was going. But I think some of this is if you give Zeke Naji, Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Jonas Valanciunas, and Deron Holmes, and Cam Johnson, and Jamal, like, now it's like, oh, wow, like, Zeke, just go do the best you can with what you got. And I think we're having a different story about this team, man. So I'm super excited about this. I thought the Tim Hardaway move was just such a steal. Again, the Denver Nuggets still have access to the taxpayer MLE. So there's a very real possibility that they're able to add true talent to this roster and to this team. And I'm excited to see how that's going to work. Denver Nuggets fans, you should be super excited about what you're seeing. You should be so thankful to John Wallace and Ben Tenzer and Josh Kroenke for really playing it down for the last couple of weeks, saying, hey, we're just going to make moves on the margin. Hey, we don't really want to make any big trades. Hey, we don't have the assets to do this, and that. We're so afraid of the second apron. And then all the while, they're like, look, just give us a few days. We've been to cook up a Christmas dinner. Y'all, this has been an amazing first 24 hours. And I think possibly that there's more to come for this Denver Nuggets team. So y'all, make sure y'all subscribe, share, like the video. We're on the way to 15,000 subscribers, y'all. This is Locked On Nuggets. I'm Swipe Up, 650 of y'all in here. Just know this is just the beginning. There's even more to come. Y'all know what time it is. Hey, see y'all on the other side.